So I just butchered off the sides. As you can see, I don't really have any woodworking tools, so I use the miter box. I use this knife. It's not professionally done, but once this is stretched with a canvas and inserted in here, you won't see it. So actually I just glued the corners, and I'm gonna put it into the frame and leave it overnight, and then it's nicely shaped and will fit perfectly. Tomorrow I will staple the canvas on, and the back, I kind of ripped this one, but I'm gonna cut a piece of cardboard. Actually, I have this one goes on the back anyway, so that will cover that nicely, so no worries. And so I decided to work on a canvas rather than a paper, because it is kind of like a shadow box, so there's a space in between. And yeah, that should be all right. All right, leave it there overnight. Let's clean up a little bit here.
The next morning.
Now here I applied the base coat. The base coat, it doesn't really matter, and I applied it fairly thick. And if you remember in my first part of this video series about materials and techniques, I also mentioned the gold foil, which comes in a roll like this. Now what I'm gonna be doing here is use previously used gold foil strips, and as you can see, there is still quite a bit of gold which can be lifted off from this foil. Not sure if you can see it on the video. And what I will do right now is, because it will give you that pattern, I will put that right into the wet paint, and then tomorrow when we peel this off, we will have some of that gold showing into the background. Okay, so let's just put that on like this. And I just gently push it down. Another piece here. It's the same thing. I'm not sure actually if you can see it on the camera, but definitely you will see the result. So I'm just gonna line this up right here. and do the same thing. I gently push it into the wet paint. And this is the part where you just simply have to be patient. Okay, you can put that aside and come back next day. Don't lift it prematurely because you will not achieve the same effect. Okay, and that's why I like to work on that little platform here. Like I mentioned, this is basically a sheet of drywall. You can use a piece of plywood, and I covered that with parchment paper. As you can see, I kept on mixing my paints right on the paper right here. And when this gets too contaminated and too heavy, I just remove the paper and put some new paper on. So you can actually just take the whole thing, put it away, and work on a different project. However, for the purpose of this video, I will just leave it like this and come back tomorrow. Well, my friends, I lied to you. It's not the next day. It's quite a few hours later, and I have this out in the sun. So let's have a look. Okay, 1, 2. Actually, it has more gold on it than I thought. And even some of that yellow moved over, which is all right. So you notice when I paint this and the staples I put on the very outer edge. I didn't want to go all the way around simply because this frame is pretty tight, so it's difficult to fit it in. And by having the staples on the very edge, they will be covered by that edge. What I was thinking is I'm gonna start with the center part, and then I'm gonna spread it out in different directions, and I'm also gonna use some of the paint skin I have here. Okay, so when you peel it off fresh, they're very flexible. Like I mentioned before, if you peel them off and you store them in a container, they get very brittle and very they break easy. Okay, so let's see. Oi, oi, oi. Okay, now this latex paint. It's pretty thick, which is perfect to give you texture. So So I keep this really thick because I am going to stick the paint skin in this. See, when they're flexible, you can shape them. If they're too big, you can break them down a little bit. So as you can see, this is what it looks like. So what I do next, now I mentioned in my part 1 of the video that I use all kinds of different paint qualities, among them dollar store brands. For example, actually this is not dollar store, this is the I believe just a beginner level kind of paint, but that's what I like to use in between. For example, I will trip some of those colors in between just to seal it and to adhesive it all together a little more. See, and that's just a little dot here, a little bit here. Now, depending on the size of the surface you're creating, and you can also go ahead and triple a little bit of the transparent Elmer's glue just in between. This will become rock solid. You can also use any kind of mediums, varnishes, anything goes, whatever keeps this all together, because so later when it hangs, nothing will fall into the frame because it's like a shadow box. Especially it has a glass in front, which makes it more difficult to clean out. Let's add a touch of white. All right, so this is all nice and solid. I'm gonna use some stencilings, and I'm gonna start first with some white first, and top it with some, just to get a little bit more the brightness out, because it's a black background. And see, I'm using actually screen printing ink. Well, you see, it's at this point where I say, let's stop. I'm still gonna add a tiny bit of the gold glitter in some of those spots, very, very little bit. And tomorrow I'm gonna add a coat of varnish, and we'll see if we leave it at that. Good morning, my friends. So this has dried overnight, and as mentioned in the part 1 of this video, in the previous video, I will be applying now polyurethane. I'm using diamond wood finish. This is a gloss water-based finish, and as I mentioned this, as a mixed media artist, this has always been worked really well for me, and it is also a bit cheaper. So here we go, my friends, with the light coat of varnish, and this is ready to be framed. And regarding all the techniques, because it is an extremely small canvas, I didn't use all of the techniques mentioned in video number 1. I did, however, use my little toy truck. I used a piece of cardboard tube for some stamps, as you can see here. I used a tiny car. I also used the rubber stamp, and I actually have here, that's a Porsche logo. It's kind of a rubbery, so there's an imprint in there too. The very fine lines here, I used the fabric paint, and over here and here I used stencil. A little bit of the bubble wrap, like I mentioned, I don't use it too much. And the candy wrapper, it gives you that nice design over here. And then I had, where is it? Over here. Is that cardboard carnival claws? I don't know what you call that. And yeah, here's another line of the fabric paint, and those are all the paint skins I peeled off from the plastic tray. So what's left to do is we'll pop it into a frame, and then we'll see how that looks. So, as you noticed, I just glued it into the frame. I stapled a piece of cardboard. I will still put my embossed seal on the outside and also my information, even though I have it inside the canvas, just in case someone buys it and claims it as his own. I used those two hangers with a wire. I always put a piece of tape because wires are very slippery, and when they hang on a nail or on a screw, they tend to move around because it is so smooth, so the tape gives it a little bit more stability. And I think that turned out really nice. There's a little bit of reflection now with the light source. And so this concludes part 2 of my mini series of mixed media abstract, using different materials, tools and techniques. I hope you enjoyed it, and we see you on Saturday with another video. Bye bye for now.